Welcome to the Author to Authority podcast. And today we are going to be doing part 4 of I've got a book. Now what do I do with it? And of course, I have my wonderful co-host, Juanita Wootton-Radko, with me. And what interesting thing can I tell you that I haven't already told you about her? No, I can't tell that one. No, she'd kill me if I told that one. Maybe we'll just go with today. She's an incredible person and she's my very best friend. Welcome to the show.
Thanks, Kim. I was sitting pretty nervous for a couple seconds there.
Well, I was tempted, but I realized that you have just as many stories about me as I do about you. So
As many books as we write, I don't know that needs to be one of them, right?
well,
I'm super excited for today's show.
So maybe one day we will do an episode where we share some of the funny Kim and Juanita stories, but not today. So the last 3 sessions, we've been looking at, you've written your book, you're an author, now what do you do? And, we've covered marketing, we covered sales. On the last episode, we talked a little bit more about each of those 2. And then we talked about your network and who's in your network and how do you use a book with your network and just some of the intangible things like the confidence. But one thing I forgot to mention was when you are an author and you're networking, it's a great way to introduce yourself. Mm-hmm. When you get that opportunity at a networking meeting, and if you've ever been to one, you know what I'm talking about, where a few people get that 90 seconds on stage, right? Where they get highlighted for 90 seconds. What are you going to say that's really impactful? And so when you're the author of a book, you now have not only the confidence, but you've got something that can easily fill the 90 seconds. It positions you as that go-to expert in your niche, and it impresses people. So that was something I meant to mention on the last episode. Do you have any other additional thoughts before we get into today's topic of social media?
Actually, I'm ready to go, ready to get social.
All right, so when it comes to using your book, social media is one of the biggest places where you can really let your book shine and use it as that tool. So first of all, I love the consistency factor. And yeah, you should be using social media with your book. It's a free tool. Who here does not love free? I love free. Woo, woo. Free.
It's my favorite price.
But speaking of price, with social media, there is a price to pay if you want to see the results. And of course, the price of social media, one of the prices of social media is the consistency factor. But here's the thing. Guess what? When you got a book, guess how much content you have to put on social media?
At least 10 chapters worth. How many pages in your book?
Exactly. And so when you're looking at that, you can use that content as the stepping board to create all your social media content around. Now, obviously, not all of your social media. I mean, there is the aspect that you don't always want to be sounding promotional. But in terms of your positioning as that expert, your book becomes this rich source of material that you can draw from to create posts, do Facebook Lives, connect with people on. So that was my first thought.
Mm-hmm. And I think that it's great to give, it's important that you give value. Like you said, don't be a commercial. Give a taste of what you're covering in your book. And so while you want to, you have to strike that balance. While you want to get people to buy your book, you have to share and give something of yourself so that people will have that like, no trust.
Mm-hmm.
Because if it's always about what they can do for you, that does not build any trust.
Mm-hmm.
And
go ahead.
Oh, there's obviously different platforms, and different books will work better on certain platforms. You have to have a strategy in mind with your different books. I would say I enjoy Facebook and Instagram. I am not a Twitter person. I don't tweet. That's not to say that a lot of people aren't successful on Twitter, but I would definitely say that those other two formats I mentioned, also Pinterest, they give you a little bit longer time, a little more ability to showcase your knowledge and showcase your book in a different way. I would also suggest that when you have this account made up, rather than just use your personal account, have a dedicated account for your book. Let's say your book is the Blueberry Mountain. I've got a mug with blueberries on it, so that was the first thing I thought of. And my Blueberry Mountain book, I would have the Climbing the Blueberry Mountain Facebook group, Facebook identity. And because you can search Facebook that way, and you'll find out what people are looking for and what they want to know about it. And if you have a user picture with the cover of your book on it, the title of your book, in that logo, that visual appeal will be great right off of the bat.
Yeah, and it's amazing how people search Facebook, because I started a Facebook page for the Entrepreneur Emporium, and I don't have a lot on it yet. And Facebook notified me that I've had 3 views on that page. And I'm like, oh, maybe I should be like updating that page. So if you're wondering what the Entrepreneur Emporium is, it's basically, I love to craft. And for years I've been knitting and crocheting. But in December, I got a Cricut machine. And I've been having a ball and a blast. But, and Juanita can so relate to this, there is only so much crafting that you can put in your house and give to your family and friends.
It's true.
So I decided, instead of just loading my house up with stuff, that I would pay for my crafting habit by creating motivational and inspirational items for entrepreneurs. So now if you go to the entrepreneuremporium.com, you can see I've got lots of t-shirts, mugs, notebooks with quotes and things that will just encourage and inspire you. But anyway, so now that's a motivation for me that, oh, maybe I need to put something on that page because people are seeing it. So one of the things I was thinking of next, and actually in a couple of days, I'm going to be doing another interview with our client, Crystal Duku, because she's our social media specialist. She's also part of the Authority Gang. And she's going to be talking about what's new in social media. And so one of the things I was thinking of in terms of your book, and actually Larry Levine did this when we were working on book number 1 of Selling from the Heart, is he would actually take and do readings do a Facebook Live and do a reading from
What
his
a
book.
smart idea. That it seems so obvious. Of course. Well, what a brilliant guy he is. That Larry, he's some smart.
So, like there's lots of different ways to use that content. You can pull out small quotes, make nice social media quote graphics, and then just do a short post around it. You can do a post where you take like a couple of paragraphs out of your book and then discuss it. You can do lives where you talk about quotes from the book or read the book and then talk about it. I mean, there is just so much content that you can get from the book. I mean, you can do a blog post which you then post on social media, especially if you're on LinkedIn. You can create articles around your book. So, for me, the social media side of it is really where you get to shine. And you need to take advantage of that and put a game plan together for that. And I think that's what's really important is that game plan, because you don't want to overload yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other thing too is on Zoom now, you can actually Zoom and live to Facebook. So you can do interviews with people, talk about your book. One piece of software that I've been really enjoying, and I'm going to be using a lot more actually, I forgot to use it for today's, but one of the things I'm going to be doing is when we're recording the podcast, I've been using StreamYard. And StreamYard is nice because you can, depending on your account size, stream out to anywhere between 3 to 10 platforms all at once. So you do live and it goes out. So it's like Facebook, if you can do LinkedIn Lives, YouTube, there's a bunch of places. I'm not sure if we can do Instagram yet, but I'm sure that will be on the next one on its plate. But you can, in my account, I can stream to 3 places at once. So I stream to my profile, I stream to the motivational quotes for entrepreneurs page. So if you like the motivational stuff, go check it out. Motivational quotes for entrepreneurs. I post a really nice quote every day with a little teaching and training. And I can post to the author to authority group all at the same time. So I can live to 3 groups at once.
That's massive bang for your buck.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. And I don't know, I get paid 10, $15 a month, something like that. Right. So actually what I'm going to be doing with the podcast is we're going to live stream the recording of the podcast. So.
Oh, you're making me nervous now, Kim. Oh no, have I got something green on my nose?
Well, I hate to tell you this, my friend, but the videos have been posted on YouTube since day one. So. But again, it's about repurposing. Mm-hmm. So for me, doing these podcast recordings as Facebook Lives, and then the podcast episode comes out, a month or 2 later, people aren't necessarily going to remember, and not the same group of people are going to see it. So it's the same with your content. Don't be afraid of, doing content again. We have talked a couple of times over the last year and a half about the 6 key building blocks. And we're going back through the 6 key building blocks again, but this time from a different perspective. And if you're listening to this, it means you haven't gotten tired of it yet. So it's the same with your book and social media. Don't be afraid to, over the course of a few months, cover a bunch of different topics and then go back and cover them again. As your audience grows, as your target market grows, there's going to be new people who haven't heard it. And people who have heard it, you'll have new perspective, bring out new things about it. So don't ever be afraid to use your content, or that people will get tired of hearing about it.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, especially the part about your perspective will be different coming at it in 6 months' time, because I don't know, has the world changed for any of you in the last 6 to 12 months? A little bit of perspective there. And in another year from now, we will have different ideas because of who we collaborate with, what books we've read, and what other ideas we've encountered between those times.
Yeah, exactly. So I've got one other point. Did you have any points you wanted to share, my friend?
One of the things I really like about Facebook, and to a lesser extent Instagram, but both of them have the ability for you to engage with a conversation with your audience. And one of the great things with that is getting questions from your audience. And that can help you launch into some more topic ideas that is related to your content. If you get enough questions and you're lucky, you might be getting material for book 2. So it's a resource that can really feed you.
Cool. I like that. So I've only got one other point for today's podcast. So today might be just a little bit shorter, but one of the big things about social media is your ability to create a brand and to create that social proof. And that's one of the big things about using your book on social media is the social proof that it brings. And one of the things that I plan on doing when Author to Authority is released this year is asking people who have read the book to take a picture of themselves with the book and give me a testimonial. See, because it's not just about the content of your book, it's about the people who are reading your book and what they're saying. And Larry Levine and Sherry Lewick, they've both been on the show. They're great clients of ours. One of the things they're really great at is getting those reviews and then using them on social media as that social proof. So they have built the brands around their 2 books, Selling from the Heart and My Skeletons Have Names. And I just want you guys to just think outside of the box. We've only covered a few ideas. There's a lot more. And of course, now that I said that, my brain goes, whoop! But there are. And I've been thinking about this because the next chapter that I'm going to be writing for the book is, well, 2 chapters from now, is how do you use your book to build your business? So it's something I've been thinking a lot about. And I get all of these wonderful, crazy ideas when I'm in the shower. I think I'm going to have to either start finding some way to record them while I'm in the shower, maybe have my phone out on a ledge and dry my finger off and hit the record button and start talking. Or there was one day.
That's one of those little home things. Maybe, what is it? Alexa. Hey, Alexa, take a note. Honest to goodness, that would be a useful thing in the shower.
Well, it was funny. One day I was in the shower and I had been working on something and I was in the shower and this one beautiful sentence popped into my brain. And I'm thinking, I've got to remember this. So I'm like, I screamed out to my daughter. I'm like, Deborah, get in here with a pen and paper.
Of course, that is not the sentence that your adult child wants to hear. Like, oh, Mom.
She didn't come into the bathroom. She just kind of opened the door. She's like, what? Like, can you write down this sentence for me? I really need to remember it. She's like, okay.
She is now used to all the unusual trials you put her through and the long suffering of your adult child cannot be underestimated.
Uh-huh. Yeah, she suffers an awful lot in our house. So,
Jason and
any final thoughts, my friend?
I think that it's a great thing that people have the opportunity to promote themselves on social media, promote their books, and be aware. I guess the caveat I would say is, again, being aware of consistency.
Mhm.
If your social media, your personal social media does not reflect your professional uh, side of the social media, you need to think about how you're doing business and how you're presenting yourself.
Yeah, because people do check you out. You know, if you've got this really professional business side, but yet on the personal side, you know, you're posting your pictures of yourself half wasted, probably not the.
It's not a consistent message, and it would be a reason for concern for a lot of people, right?
Mhm. You know, or, you know, if you show this really strong, polished business side, you know, and yet on your personal Facebook, you know, you're constantly talking about every single problem you're going through and, you know, how difficult it is. I'm not saying that there isn't a time on social media to express the occasional bad thing that's happening in your life. But, you know, if you're this coach, that life coach, you don't want to be posting about, you know, all the bad things that are going on and how you can't deal with life.
Yeah, I would disagree. That my personal opinion as far as social media goes, I know that people sometimes say, "Oh, it's so fake. People only talk about how perfect their life is." I don't feel it's appropriate to broadcast dirty laundry or your grievances or those passive aggressive statements like, I just can't with some people. I've really had it right now. And the sort of post that is intended to generate a big response, I feel like that is an unprofessional behavior for one thing. And you are not aware of who your audience is and how it's going to echo into the future, because that person that you were in that 10 minutes of writing it in the full heat of anger or whatever is not the person you are a week from now or 3 years ago, or pardon me, 3 years in the future when you are about to accept an award for all your good work. There have been celebrities and other people of note who have suffered a fall because they have behaved less than
Their best.
too much candor and less than professionally, which could have been avoided if they remembered not everyone reading this will be your friend.
Yeah, and that is an incredibly good point. There will be people who will troll you to put you down. This is an unfortunate side, and we don't talk about it a lot, of sometimes becoming that author, becoming that authority. Is there are people who will be jealous of you, and not always, but sometimes attacks come, and they come right out of the blue, and they'll misquote you, they'll whatever. And just a piece of hint, tip, and advice, one of the best ways to deal with it is not deal with it. I mean, unless it's incredibly racist, derogatory, insulting, offensive, like, and I more in the extreme. And then I think, you know, you need to get, like, if it's on Facebook, get Facebook involved and ask them to remove it. especially if it's a comment or a post or something. But if it's just someone, being a little bit annoying, being a little bit rude, saying something just to try and kind of make you look bad. But the best thing to do is just let it go. Because
if you respond, you're giving them what they want, which is attention.
Yeah. And the thing is, usually they're really good at debating and fighting. So they'll just keep it going. And the longer it goes, the more people pay attention to it. And that's their perception of you. But if you just ignore the comment, like I said, if it's extreme, it needs to be dealt with. And you go to Facebook or Instagram or whatever, and you report it and you say, can you please, I'm reporting this comment, and you can do that. But if it's just, someone not being
negative, being aggressive in their opinion, I'll say.
Mm-hmm. You just ignore it.
Mm-hmm. Take the high road.
Yep.
So that took us a little bit down a road sounding negative. There are so many benefits to using social media to support and build your book.
Yes.
But it's, here there be dragons when it comes to the ocean of social media. You and your ship are headed for an amazing adventure, but you have to steer carefully.
Yeah, and I'm not saying this happens all the time. In all the years I've been using social media for my business, I've maybe had it happen once or twice. But we just wanted to make you aware of that so that you're not broadsided by it. Social media has been an incredible tool, and it's not something that you need to be afraid of. It's just carefully consider what you post on social media. And this brings us to the last point, which is create a brand around it. So your personal profile, all of your business pages, all of your groups. It should all be a part of a cohesive, singular brand that you use to promote yourself. And then as you do that in all of those different places, it starts to kind of collect over social media, and you start to get your name out there, and it starts to kind of grow, and you get more attention from Facebook and Instagram and all these other places. And as you grow your audience, and as you do the consistency factor, they like that, and they reward you for it. And so that is a great way of building your target market with people that you don't even know.
Yeah, having an image that is easily recognizable, having dedicated colors. Don't keep changing your colors. I think that's a big one that people need, that anybody can do that. What two colors are Coca-Cola's colors?
Red and white.
Yeah, you didn't even hesitate. Nobody hesitates, because Coke knows what the importance of brand consistency, brand image is. So,
and Pepsi's blue.
Mm-hmm. So that's something to simple, same. So think color, think same font. That's going to help people recognize you.
And it is okay to having a testing period, right? Like when you're first developing your brand and your logos and your colors and all that, you may, over a span of 6 months, maybe test out a few different designs to see what really resonates. So we're not talking about when you're developing that, because you need to get feedback, kind of get a sense. Sometimes you go one way and you realize it's just not really you. So, in that first little period, but once you have your brand set, don't change it. Well, I think we've had this good conversation today, my friend. And the next time, we're going to have fun, because we're going to be talking about how do you use your book to get on TV, radio, Facebook Live, speaking gigs, workshops, training sessions. So that's going to be a fun a fun episode, and that will be the next episode that Juanita and I are together. Our episodes are the first and third Tuesdays of the month. And this has been Juanita Wootton-Radko and Kim Thompson-Pinder on the Author to Authority podcast. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you on the very next episode. Bye now.
Bye-bye.